Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of Halloween month, right here on Reaction and Review UK. So, we've travelled from Transylvania, down to Egypt, now we travel to jolly old England, well, London to be exact, for movie 3. Out of the movies that I'm covering this year, this is the one I've really not been looking forward to, because when I originally saw this movie, I didn't enjoy it myself as much as I hoped I would. But let's see if time is a healer, shall we say. For today, we're taking a look at The Wolfman. Oh joy. But because I know I may not enjoy it myself, I came prepared this time. Thanks to good old Rick Mail, I'll be having some bombardier to help me get through this, as it were.
Bang on!
Bang on indeed. A brief moment, ladies and gentlemen. Guess I've never actually had this stuff before, so who knows. First time for everything. Smells like Tarleton in the shower.
That's an unpleasant thought.
I guess it should have quit while it was ahead. With that in mind, everybody, grab something to drink. It's time to It's getting drunk already. It's time to kick back, look at that full moon, and let's watch The Wolfman. Gotta love the fact they're keeping his dead brother's body in the fucking butcher shop. Gotta turn him into pork chops, my lover! Ooh! I'm not sure if this is current or old news, but this is something that Helsing920 told me about. Apparently, a Twilight fangirl wrote a letter of complaint to Universal Studios about this movie. Her complaint primarily consisted of that she accused the Wolfman of stealing the idea of the werewolf from Twilight. I'm going to repeat that and let it sink in for all of you. A Twilight fangirl wrote a letter of complaint to Universal complaining that the Wolfman stole the idea of the werewolf from Twilight. I think you're all going to need one of these after hearing that. Oh, I don't know about you, but it's getting really warm in here. Hang on a sec. Ah, it's much better.
A beast has come among us, but God will defend his faithful.
Lest you two face the wrath of the were-rabbit! Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
You has choice. Sink in the marsh or be eaten.
Decisions, Oh, you are so screwed! The delusions of the bullshit I am spewing to you in this false accent and under even Abendlogen. Just another average down the set for Anthony Hopkins. So, that was The Wolfman. We'll just put a stop to that right there. Okay, where to start with this? I just want to say that time has not been a healer for this movie, unfortunately, so... Right, let's go for the pros before we get started. Now, I will say that visually, this movie is quite interesting to look at. I mean, it is kind of a shame that the transformation is a CG effect, but it's very simplistic and it does remind me of like the old school method. Although I would have preferred seeing it in that way, but there we go. But I mean, the music, the fog... I mean, some of the music felt pretty good, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the fog, the lighting, it looks the part. I mean, I have to give the movie that. At least it does look the part of trying to convey it, but that's all I can really give it. Hugo Weaving is fucking amazing in this movie. Then again, I tend to feel that Hugo Weaving is one of those actors that he can make a dog turd look like filet mignon. That's just basically, it's a skill that some actors have. So let's just go over the pros here. Very impressive special effects, Hugo Weaving, and the environment looks the part. That's all I can really give it in terms of positives. Visually, it looks great, and one actor was amazing. Now let's get into the cons of this movie. It's a very flat story. doesn't have that kind of writing that, say, The Mummy or Bram Stoker's Dracula has. It just feels like it just goes from point A to point B, and from my perspective only, I just didn't really care. Like, these people were getting killed. Like, who cares? It didn't really put a lot of thought into these characters, and when something happened, you either knew it was going to happen, or you just didn't care. Again, from my perspective here. The biggest weak point of this movie is Benicio del Toro. I mean, I understand that he tried. He really wanted to do this movie, I get it, but half the time, he either looked like he was melting, or he looked like he was tripping off LSD. That's just what it looked like to me. Nothing against the man, I'm sure he's a very good actor, and I'm sure he's a very good person to talk to, but he was really flat in this movie. The only time he really had like any emotion or depth was when he was the Wolfman. At times, this movie is really fucking boring. It's just a boring movie. It's just, almost at times, it feels lifeless. Like, even when people are being killed, you just don't care. Well, this is all from my perspective, but I just really didn't care watching this. It was boring. Some of the actors of this movie had a very lifeless performance. It's almost to the point that they know they're in a horror movie, and they're just phoning it in half the time. I mean, the Vicar being a good one, it felt very stock. It felt very, you know, like, yeah, whatever kind of thing. A big crippling aspect of this movie is, it's not scary. And it does this sort of thing that a lot of cheesy horror movies have gone for, is the whole, jump scares. And jump scares are not scary. I mean, you probably jump for like half a second, but that's about it. I mean, genuine scares are the ones that keep you up half the night. Now, that's really scary. I can't really give you an example because I'm not really a huge horror fan. But I'm sure you all can provide your own examples and, you know, comments and whatnot. Anthony Hopkins looked like he was fucking bored in this movie. I mean, one of the good things about watching a movie with Anthony Hopkins in it is because he's usually chewing the scenery, and he is just, you know, absolutely mental. But watching this, it's just like, oh, it's good to see you again, Lawrence, and I'm sorry about your mother, and oh yes, I was in the mountains doing stuff, and is this done yet? That's what it felt like. It just felt like he really phoned it in. At the midpoint of this movie, it just loses the fucking plot. I mean, it just does all this weird shit, and it left me wondering, like, what am I watching? I started to think it was the Bombardier after a while, but it loses the fucking plot. And I just couldn't keep up with it. I know it's trying to go for like, the visually nightmare-y, like, insanity aspect, but I just did not get behind this. And I have to admit, the Wolfman costume is just laughable in places. I mean, I understand what they were going for and honouring tradition, but it looked a bit fake. And half the time it was like a CG effect with the transformation. And again, I guess you have to go down that route these days, but I guess I just must have a craving for the old-fashioned effects, you know? So, let's just wrap up the cons. The story is pretty flat. Benicio del Toro is very wooden, like he was melting half the time. Some of the performances in this movie felt very lifeless. It really felt boring. I mean, out of the movies so far, this is the most boring one of the bunch. Had some flat music, or felt very stuck. That's a word I'm going to use a lot, stuck. It's not scary at all, relying on jump scares. Anthony Hopkins, he didn't even chew the scenery once. And that's one of the things you love about Anthony Hopkins. He just goes mental. He didn't really do that often. It kind of loses the plot halfway through, and the Wolfman costume was just laughable in places. Now, anything you want to add before I wrap this up?
Like, with everybody else, I mean, I don't necessarily like werewolf movies, but there's something intriguing about it. It's one of those like sort of genres that make you think. Now, I've seen movies like American Werewolf in London. I've seen Curse, which was a Wes Craven creation about 7 years ago, which wasn't all that great in my opinion. And, you know, Hugo Weaving did well for the part he was given. I mean, he does seem to be a bit typecast in plays. He's just got to play this generic bad guy. And even as one of the good guys, you still look and think, man, you're being a douche. But very similar opinion to you. The atmosphere was well set. Anthony Hopkins felt a little bit too wooden. I know, like I said earlier, Benicio wanted to be in this movie because this was his passion project. This is something that he enjoys, and this is a good method actor, considering that this is also the guy who was in the Che Guevara movies 1 and 2 because he, loves to do like these method parts. But I don't know. I just felt like he didn't. He just felt really flat and miscast. I think even Spill.com have even gone as far as to say that as well. But it's not a terrible movie, but it's not one of those must-buy situations. It's good if you want like a matinee on a Halloween night, but wait till it comes out on rental or get it on rental.
Anyway, I'm not sure how much time I've got left for this, but anyway, you can find this movie. I think you can find it really cheap as chips now off of Amazon, Play.com, very good websites. You may be able to catch it on Netflix, but I doubt you can find this on YouTube, but you probably can. But I don't think this is worth your time, guys.
Nope.
Out of the horror icons we've been through, this is the weakest entry so far. I mean, The Mummy, granted it was an action movie, but it just felt wooden. One last thing I want to add is, I mean, I understand Lawrence is a very sympathetic character, but it just felt wooden. So currently Dracula's winning in the polls. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of another Reaction Review UK as a part of Halloween month. I have been Random, take care, and I'll see you all in the near future. Peace. Bombardier salutes impalement. Bang on! Oh, machine was commercial horror.